Hi, everybody. Welcome to the new normal. Today is New Truth Tuesday. So we've got Amy Fulmer with us, patriot and advocate for grieving parents as well. So thanks for joining us in the chat. Please give us a like and share this video. We've got lots to unpack today. We woke up with tons of news and lots of things going on. Amy, where do you want to kind of start? First of all, how was your Thanksgiving? Did you have a nice Thanksgiving?
Oh, it was beautiful, Lisa.
Okay,
It
I'm
was
like
really,
already moving on.
yeah, no, that's okay. It was really, really beautiful, and I really was conscious of how much I have and how people are hurting right now. So I struggled a little bit with that because I want to feed and save the world. You know, I want to
Right.
adopt every stray cat. I want to take every child,
Right.
and I have so much. And I'm so grateful for what I have. It kind of rocks me a little bit. I'm not going to lie, but it was great. So
Well, good. I'm glad to hear that. We had a big family thing. My brother came and some of his kids, and my sister came over with her kiddos. And so we had a great
Nice.
time. So lots of family time with Nana and Papa. So that was good.
Great.
For sure.
Great.
For sure.
So here's the story, guys, just to kind of like bring you into our world a little bit. Okay, it was 1 month ago today we had the presidential vote. Okay.
Mhm.
In 30 days, we do not technically have a certified presidential elect. That's a
Right.
fact. As of this moment right now, the mess across the board has been called by the Associated Press. All kinds of people are doing all kinds of things that they have no legal right to do. So let's just get our head wrapped around that we do not have a certified president-elect, and we don't have Donald Trump who's conceded yet.
Right.
So
And Joe Biden didn't concede yet, but he did break his foot, supposedly.
Okay, so let's have a little conversation about that. I love a good conspiracy. Love.
Girl, I have pictures to back it up.
Let me tell you what I think. This is what I think.
Mhm.
I think he's cuffed.
Of course he is.
And I think they're going to arrest him for treason, sedition, on and on and on. And he didn't fracture his foot. Oh, thank you. Perfect. He didn't fracture his friggin' foot playing with his dog. He is cuffed.
Here's the thing that will be very telling. If, let me see, hold on. Let me show you another picture. If this happens, we'll know for sure.
Yes.
John McCain's ankle monitor walking boot mysteriously changes feet. That's kind of funny.
Or if Biden suddenly gets sick and can't fill in and has to
pancreatic cancer, brain tumor. McCain had a brain tumor, right?
Right. COVID.
He got the vid.
He got the Rona. So that's my take on it. I also feel that irrespective of what you are reading in the news, and listen, you guys, it's a crime scene. Okay. Let's just call it the way it is. It is a crime scene.
Okay.
And the mainstream media are criminal organizations. They all need to be arrested. They need to go to jail. They need to be held accountable for their lies and their treasonous behavior towards the American people. And that is.
So did you see the Project Veritas live this morning when they called into CNN and talked to Jeff Zucker?
Oh, no, I missed that.
Girl, hold on. I've got it all pulled up. Hold on.
Oh,
This is so awesome. Tonight is going to be some great TV. Let's see. Just connect my earpods.
So this is going to be a stiff drink time. Is that what we're going to have tonight? Stiff drink time?
And they said they're going to continue to roll it out over the next few weeks. Can you see this?
Yeah.
So hold on. It gets so good. Oh no, why can you not hear it? I can't hear it.
Recording everything. Hey, Jeff Zucker, are you there? Hey, this is James O'Keefe. We've been listening to your CNN calls for basically 2 months, recording everything. Just wanted to ask you some questions if you have a minute. Do you still feel you're the most trusted name in news? Because I have to say, from what I've been hearing on these phone calls, I don't know about that. I mean, we got a lot of recordings that indicate you're not really that independent of a journalist.
Okay.
Better hold on.
Thank you for your comments. So everybody, in light of that, I think what we'll do is we'll set up a new system, and we'll be back with you. We'll do the rest of the call a little later.
We're going to release those recordings today at 7 o'clock. So stay tuned. It's going to be fun.
Thanks, everybody. Have a good day.
Yeah, you too.
Bye-bye.
7 o'clock
You
Eastern.
just heard me talk to President of CNN, Jeff Zucker, and inform him that we are going to release
Wait, they name
a
names.
number of recordings
Watch this.
today. I unmuted myself into the conference line, and they're still on there. They're listening to me right now. This is being live streamed for those of you still on the call. And we've recorded for a while, and we have clips of various producers talking, the president talking, describing their motives, describing their political philosophy, describing how they don't cover certain things, and certain political parties tell them to cover things a certain way. Lots of little clips that takes us into the minds and hearts of our people, powers that be, that inform us, because government is downstream from media. So we're going to be releasing these tapes thanks to one of our sources. One of our brave insiders has given us this information. And as you can see, they're still milling about on the call. They're listening to me right now. They have to, quote, change their system and get a different dial-in, I guess, now, because we've compromised dial-in. Project
Well, I guess we need to change the channel, huh? Change the number, huh?
Is that Zucker there?
You're unmuted.
Hey, Jeff, you still there?
Yeah.
They're still on there. We don't want to change the channel. We want to stay on the channel. We think it's important for the American people to know how you make the sausage, right? How you, to quote Noam Chomsky, manufacture consent. Consent should not be manufactured. It should be informed. People should be an informed populace to make informed decisions. So there you have it, folks. Live streaming the CNN 9 a.m. conference call. It was abruptly ended when James O'Keefe.
Thanks for using the AT&T
Here it is.
teleconference.
It's not the
Up on
company
him.
that Zucker is being fired from.
Mhm.
Yeah. So they abruptly ended the conference call when I dialed in. And,
Okay, they're going to start naming names
unfortunately for
now. Or
them.
maybe they already did. Did they say the president?
So, what else can I say? There's not much else to say. I think my message to you, for those watching the live stream, is get ready, because tonight at 7 o'clock Eastern time, we're going to start releasing these little tapes, little clips, little audio bits of Zucker, the president. Who else? Chalian, David Chalian, vice president.
Stephanie Becker.
Stephanie Becker. What's the name? Marcus Mabry. Who's the other man that made the comments about that we recorded about white supremacy?
That was Mez Mabry.
Marcus Mabry made some comments, and we'll be airing those for all to hear and see. And it's important that we hold accountable the mainstream media. The media has to be held to account.
I did post it on Twitter. I retweeted it, and I'm happy to share a link to this. Let's see.
Well, I mean, Lisa, that's just outstanding. I mean, there you have it. The whole thing is a crime scene. But the best part about this is that they caught this guy on a hot mic. Like this is classic stuff. But see, here's the deal. If we don't push out this stuff, if this stuff is not pushed out and in people's face, this is what it's going to take to get America to, okay, so here's the deal. You either want the truth or you don't. Okay.
Yeah.
Our show is New Truth Tuesdays. We're all about the truth. Okay. So this has moved beyond a Biden-Trump issue. So we want the truth or we don't. But here's the deal. This is what I figured. Half of America is literally brainwashed. These are the people that drive around in their car with their masks on. These are the, right. Okay. These are the people that, feel that we
there's
don't.
300 million people in the U.S.
Right, exactly. And these are the people that hate Trump. and they suffer from normalcy bias. There's a lot of mental illness. There's a lot of brainwashing. And they also are really prone to normalcy bias. Like it triggers
Mhm.
them. Like they can't handle that maybe everything they've thought their whole life is not true. Then we
Literally had that situation at Thanksgiving this year. Somebody left and wouldn't come back because I asked a question and challenged what they'd been brainwashed with all their lives, and so they
Oh,
wouldn't
no
come back.
kidding. Was this a
Yeah,
friend or a relative?
a relative. Yeah, it was awkward. And
Oh,
it's
so
somebody I love and I really respect, and so that's why I just asked a question like, "Well, where do you what if what you've been told all this that you have so much, you know, knowledge or strength about you believe so strongly isn't true?" And they just couldn't even have the conversation about it.
Well, I've been in situations with my family where people left the table in tears.
Oh, that's terrible. This is going to get really hard though. Like I just watched an interview, I think on Rogue something, and it was Wano Saban, and he was wanting to give some more hints about some things going on, like, you know, other things going on. But he's like, part of this is that part of this will shock even people that think they're awake or are willing to have an alternative thought or view or think for themselves, because some of this America specifically needs to find out together and have this.
Well, and I think, Lisa, in a way, again, like I alluded to last week,
Mhm,
I mean, this is such a shit show.
mhm.
This has completely turned my world inside out. But as an American, I will die seeking the truth. Like Patrick Henry said, give me liberty or give me death. In with liberty is truth.
Right.
And if the American people don't have enough cojones to see through, because what I did, in fact, this is a good time. If you want to pull up the second slide, I want to read a fact check that just to reiterate to everybody, because what has happened here, and this is Lisa, the one that says, fact check US, could the Supreme Court still? Yes, thank you. Now, if you scroll all the way down, what I'm going to read here is this little thing just to re-go over, because so much has gone on. And what I'm finding out in my studies is that we're in unprecedented waters legally. We've never been here before. We have
And
never.
just a disclaimer, we do not agree with this article, and
Right.
I do not believe it's a fact checker, but we're taking some
Right.
pieces of truth out of this because it says that um, that Biden was declared the winner on November 7th. So we
Right.
all know that's not true. But what our focus in this article is how the process works and that it will go to the
Right.
Supreme Court.
Excellent, Lisa. Yeah, and thank you for saying that. So right here, right there, where you are, the need for a federal question. And I just wanted to reiterate this so people are, because there's so much confusion, they want us confused. The
Right.
primary role of the Supreme Court is as an appellate court, ruling on disputes that have already passed, get this, through the federal or state courts. It has original jurisdiction only in issues between states or pertaining to ambassadors. According to the US Constitution, and that's a broad according to, I mean, that in and of itself is a little iffy. Elections are organized at the state level. Okay, so just hold that thought.
Right.
And it is for them to decide matters such as the number of polling stations, early voting, the threshold at which a recount may be requested, and so forth. Election disputes and litigation must first be heard before the state courts,
Right.
then in trial courts, then in the appellate courts, and if necessary, to the state Supreme Court. It says state Supreme Court, not federal, okay? For a case to be handled by the federal courts, there needs to be a federal question. That involves, now this is really, this is the meat of it. the Constitution or federal law. For the Supreme Court to grant a request to review a case, now this is another thing I didn't know, at least 4 justices must accept it.
Interesting.
Now, this is huge, guys. This is the most simple kind of like, where are we today, 30 days after the election, breakdown of what the Trump administration, the people who are constitutionalist, people who seek America's freedom, people who are truth seekers, patriots, and people who believe in doing what's right. This is where we stand now. Now, here's what I'm seeing that is what I didn't think was going to happen. Arizona called last night a Biden win. Now that has been decreed by Governor Ducey at the state level. Arizona was an important state, although it wasn't a make or break state, it's an important state. It's been red for quite some time. And now suddenly Biden takes it over. Ducey says the vote was accurate. It will, unless contested, right, exactly, remain at the state level. Now, here's the deal. Who's going to push it up the food chain to get to the truth? And does America care? I say a big, resounding yes, we care.
Yeah. If we don't care this 4 years, then like these people saying, oh, just accept that, you know, all this fraud. If you guys are watching the hearings, there's been a hearing every day. Today was
Right.
Michigan, as well as
Pennsylvania or
no,
Pennsylvania?
it was Michigan, but then there was another hearing
Nevada.
where no, it wasn't a state, but they had the truck driver that he was told, there was a press briefing through, I can't remember what it's called, Armitage or something like this, but they he talked about how he brought basically 300,000 votes from New York City to Pennsylvania, and then he was like told he wasn't allowed to unload them, and they wouldn't give him a receipt that he was there. They made him sit there for 6 hours. Then they had him leave the trailer. No, I'm sorry. Then he was told to go to Pennsylvania, and he left his trailer to go pick it up or something. And the next day he came back, the trailer's gone. He's been driving with that same trailer for like
Yeah.
13, 14 years. And he
Yeah.
made a really interesting comment that seemed out of place. And I don't know if he said something about, some of these tractor trailers, that mine was really nice. The doors opened good. It had a nice ride and blah, blah, blah. And he's like, some of these, you could drive them on to a carrier and dump them in the ocean and no one would miss them. And I thought, is he saying that's what happened to it? Like that was, none of that's a fact. That's just me listening and having my what if mind. But it was really wild. So those hearings are really, if you guys can't watch the whole thing, like try to catch up on some bits and pieces, some of the news on it. I also have a video of, let's see, which one is it? Let me go do this. Hold on real quick. And I have another short video of let's see, where is he? Yes, this is it. So, no, it's an article. Okay. So you can read the article or you can go watch the hearing. But this is that Colonel Waldron confirms that the U.S. has a copy of election night data traffic and packets. And he explains what a packet is sent overseas to Frankfurt, Germany, where we've heard that there's been they've gone in. Unfortunately, it's rumored that 5 soldiers died, but they were able to seize those servers. There's also rumors that Haspel was there and possibly injured, but is now working for the good guys. But that's not a fact. That's rumors. But
well, Lisa, don't you find this? What strikes me really odd about all this is that, think about this for a second. Just think about it. We are being pumped with a second lockdown threat. Mm-hmm. We are being barraged with Millions of people are going to die on this second round of COVID. Nobody can go out. And oh, by the way, just so you know, Japan, the last like 6 months, has had the highest suicide rate in the history of that. They've ever been keeping statistics in Japan, and they're on lockdown. So the mental health connection between the lockdown is just rearing its ugly head. But this is what I'm thinking. I'm thinking that they want to distract us. In other words, they want people afraid in their homes, because if they weren't distracted with that level of fear and alleged life threat, there is no threat. We know that. This
Right.
death rate on this COVID is not even, the math doesn't even warrant it being more than a flu that affects the elderly, the immune compromised.
Right. It makes me think of the painting that hung in Epstein's home where Clinton, Bill, is wearing the blue dress, and everyone's so distracted about the blue dress, they didn't notice his red shoes, which was
Yes.
them selling America to China, is what
Right.
that represented.
Right.
And so
Right.
and it just makes me think of that so much, of like distraction,
Right. So
from
this
watching them steal an
COVID,
election, and have one of the
yes.
things that that Linwood asked us to look into were what's called a color revolt. And I forgot to pull it up, but in 2003, there was one against Russia, and it was rose. In 2005, there was a color revolt. And what a color revolt is a regime change. It's a coup, basically, and they use media and this hype and all this. And so they showed the pink pussy hats and said that this is the next coup, and it's all run by George Soros Open Society, funded by that, all that. And so that's what we're in right now. We're in a civil war. This is a coup.
Right.
We're in a
Right.
color revolt, and
Right.
they're trying
So
to
if
take
you've got everybody frightened
Mhm.
and wearing masks so they're not talking, they're not gathering. We were told we couldn't gather for Thanksgiving. That was a mandate.
Yeah.
So now you have set the stage for how can people focus on this crime scene called the American election? They can't. They're so busy fixated on they could die narrative that's being
Right.
pumped out by the crime scene called the mainstream media, that most people can't handle this level of dichotomy in their brain. It's too much. And throw on top of that over 50 million unemployed people. And do you think that it's any accident that Congress has cut off stimulus?
Right. Trying to cause the people pain to revolt against Trump, or blame him
Exactly. So
for the
this is
pain that we're going
very
through. Yeah.
well orchestrated, like pieces of the puzzle. Once you back out of it and apply some critical thinking, you're like, oh my God, this is so
Yeah,
obvious.
of course they're being so obvious. Well, so here's another thing this happened last week, and I had a friend tell me about it. I mentioned it on my Patreon when I first heard about it, but there was the feds busted 15 members of South New Jersey and Philadelphia mob, including Tony Meatballs, and they list all these funny names, whatever. The one name left out of it is this guy. Who is Skinny Joey Merlino? And of course, they say it's a conspiracy theory and whatever, and Trump supporters are saying. But how would the biggest mob boss in Philly not be included in RICO charges? You can read the RICO charges in the other article, and his name is not on there. Then when Giuliani was giving that press briefing and standing in front of Four Seasons, people were giving him crap about standing in front of the lawn care or whatever. There's a funeral home, or what is it, where they cremate the bodies?
A crematory.
A crematorium, yeah.
Right.
Also right there behind. Was he saying like, and supposedly there's stories of bags and bags of ballots being destroyed at these crematoriums with the mob, and that the mob was somehow involved with this. So if Joey got brought up on RICO charges with these other 15 people, and he can get a pardon for exposing what the bad guys had him involved with, I think he might walk away with that. Just saying.
Oh, yeah, well, absolutely. And where there's smoke, there's fire there, Lisa. You know, I got a picture I sent you, and I put pictures of voter fraud. Um, do you have that slide you can pull up?
Is it? I'm
It's
trying to
really
think of which
interesting.
one it is. Hold on.
It just, I don't think it has a slide number on it. I think it just says pictures of voter fraud. I got this article that had this was classic. I mean, it was just classic. And there's a picture there, if you can find the slide, of
Maybe
this.
you sent it after I quit reading
Um,
emails. Let me go back and check my email really quick.
okay. Yeah, it's a picture of this truck. And it's a truck that's carrying ballots and it's parked behind a shredding company.
Yes, I saw I saw that in real life, or
I was
not
like,
on our show,
dude,
but
right. I was
um,
like, you know what? I have to throw this. I mean, I just got to say, I'm just saying, what is a truck that's filled to the brim with voter mail-in ballots doing pulled up behind a shredding
oh, here it
company?
is.
Okay. Okay.
Hold on.
I'm like, are you kidding me?
Yeah, here we go.
Okay, good.
But there's a lot of these. And
Yeah,
there's
yeah, yeah.
people that are talking about, today on the hearing for Michigan. Was it Michigan? Yes. They were talking about, there was this big lull in time, and that from about, I think it was about 1:30 or 1 o'clock a.m., people were even like laying their heads on the tables waiting because there was no more ballots to count, whatever, everything was done. And then all of a sudden at 4 a.m., there's from the back of the room big pallets of ballots being brought in, and the
Right.
people that were working there that had Black Lives Matter shirts on underneath their work shirts,
Mm-hmm.
and Black Lives Matter masks, um, were told to come get extra work.
Oh,
Come
right.
get your extra work. And then every one of those ballots were for Biden from that point forward.
Right.
And
Right.
so, I mean,
Right. Right.
it was just
So
so
if you've
blatant.
got everybody in America divided, people believing that, let me get rid of that. People believing,
Aren't they
sorry.
watching the show? Don't they know?
Exactly. Exactly.
I would be calling you right now.
People believing that they're going to die. There's all this drama. Of course, they can't focus on the voting. I mean, that they're wondering if they're going to get evicted because the rent moratorium, Lisa, runs out like at the end of this month. I mean,
Yeah.
this is horrific what is going on in our country right now. Like how our government could do this to the people. Like if I really thought about it, my brain would explode. I mean, this is criminal. And so I think what they're doing is they're causing like an emotional breakdown to the American people. They're getting
Mhm.
them at all angles. And this just shows how nefarious, whatever you want to call it the left, call it the deep state. I don't know what, this is not patriots. This is not what Donald Trump is standing for. So there's so much that's coming at the American people. It's almost like you almost have to be like bionic. You've got to be like Teflon. You will have had to have prepared for years. I've been preparing for this for 2.5 years. I mean, physically, mentally, financially, emotionally, I knew this was coming. I knew it was coming 2.5 years ago, and I started talking about it, and people shut me down. So
Right.
I just carried on with my prepping. And yeah, I'm probably could use more prepping. Everybody could. But the point is I'm even having a hard time balancing. This is a very tough balancing act, and it's very draining, and it's breaking families apart. But here's the situation, you guys. The minute you step back and you watch a show like ours, if you can just, like I always say, take a deep breath, look at the evidence, put on your critical thinking hat. Don't look at it as Biden versus Trump. Look at it as freedom versus fascism, truth versus lies. That's what we're looking at here. And quite frankly, I think it's time for God to step in. I think God needs to step into this whole thing
I'm
right
with you.
now and just take control.
I think he is, and he will, and he has. And I believe all that's happening. I mean, I think I love that Melania, which this is a little woo woo, but she's kind of signaled with whether it was her dress or the Christmas decorations every year, and this year everything's white, and I think that's the white hats are in
Right.
control, and I think we're going to have a great Christmas. It's going to be a rough few weeks or a couple days. I'm not sure how that's all going to play out.
Well, and this is the next thing I found out, Lisa. Again, guys, I'm not a legal beagle. I know one thing legally, the United States has never been to where we're at before. So all this conjecture about does it go to Congress, doesn't it go to Congress? This is all conjecture at this point, and I think we're in a dog fight. This is like a dog fight. This is like a cock rooster fight right now. Blood is going everywhere. People are getting killed. And so what I think we do know one time frame is that December 14th, excuse me, 2 weeks from
14th.
today is the electoral college vote. And that certifies at the state level what we're looking at. Now, the question is between now and the 14th, can Trump get some legal leverage to disband that time frame or put a legal hold on it or push it back? I don't know. I don't think anybody really knows for sure.
Well, I think that leads us to this next thing that we've had pulled up in the news. Not only is Linwood, which we touched on this, Linwood calling for Trump to have, I'm sorry, I just totally blanked. What's it called? The militia, military law, martial law. Thank you.
Martial law. Right.
But there's also this news about General McInerney. If you guys have not been listening, there's several interviews that McInerney has done where he's talking about what's going on behind the scenes. It's really interesting. And he is, this morning, this is what we woke up to, is retired 3-star General McInerney calls for President Trump to invoke the Insurrection Act, suspend habeas corpus, declare martial law, and initiate mass arrests under military authority. And so part of like the DOJ making a comment, which I have that slide too, saying that that they don't see any voter fraud. So the DOJ had assigned Durham before the election to continue the special, what is it called? Special, oh, I just have to find it now. Sorry, guys, I'm taking in so much.
Yeah, special election. Was that the special election?
Special counsel, the powers of the special counsel. So he appointed Durham as special counsel. I read through this general powers of special counsel, and in it talks about that if they're to find other things or other points, he can talk to the DOJ about continuing the investigation in other areas if that will help them complete their investigation. So this could be being investigated through Durham right now. And what it also says is that none of this is to be disclosed until the investigation is finalized. And then there's a whole method of how they disclose it, and it has to be disclosed to Congress.
Right.
And all that. So if they're still looking at things and they don't want to tip off to Congress yet, then it's not. So I think there's a lot more going on. My point is, I think there's a lot more going on behind the scenes. A lot of people, and even to myself, I was like, is this coup bigger than one thought? When I saw Barr saying that there's no, he hasn't found any criminal things, fraud with the election, but then Jenna Ellis wrote and said, respectfully to Barr, they haven't requested or done any investigation. The DOJ hasn't specifically. That doesn't mean that Durham isn't doing it. So that could go either way, in my opinion.
There's no doubt, Lisa, that what we are seeing as Americans is the tip of the iceberg. That's all we're seeing. And underneath is this huge story that's going on. And honestly, I think the story is bigger and uglier. And every day my hat goes off to Trump for the fight that he's fighting.
Absolutely.
I mean, I don't care if you like him or not. This is a man that's got his plate full. We need to stand behind our president. The problem with Biden is first and foremost, he's a pedophile. And that
Yes.
ends it right there for me.
Yeah, my sister-in-law was here and she was like, "What do you mean?" I said, "I mean, he's sniffing little," so I pulled up some of the videos for her, showed her, he's
Right.
sniffing little girls, whatever. I said, he talks about, I can't remember corn pop and something about cockroaches and kids. He loves kids jumping on his lap and the kids would play with the hair on his legs in the pool. Like, creepy,
Creepy. Right.
creepy.
Right. And there's
I mean,
enough
his own
document.
daughter talked about him taking inappropriate showers with her.
Right. And kissing his niece on the lips.
Yeah.
I mean, so there's enough out there. And again, so for me, it just ends right there. It ends right there. It just ends right there. And I have a problem with Kamala Harris. I have a lot of problems with her. So she's next in line. Now, the other thing too, I have to say, and I have to say this, please understand my predictions 4 or 5 shows ago were Amy Coney Barrett, Callie goes red, Trump wins by a massive landslide, and we take the Senate and the House. I still stand by that. If we had
Right.
had truth, I will promise you Callie would have gone red.
I agree. I agree completely. I think people are tired of it. I mean, you saw the protests in LA of all
Yes.
places, Beverly Hills of all places,
Right.
the
Right.
Trump rallies and all that. So I think people have had enough. And I think that's where we have to just all stand together. And it's going to be rough rolling out this, but this is the Great Awakening. This is us finding out how
Right.
our America has been sold to China and
Yeah.
these elites.
And I learned something. I've learned something. I always know the politicians are dirty. That's nothing new. That's since time immemorial. What I didn't understand is how dirty they are at the state level. Had no idea. I also had no idea that in a very serious situation like this in COVID, that the governors have so much power. I had no idea about that. And I will promise you, Lisa, if we don't have blockchain voting in the next election, there is a strong possibility I will not vote, because I will not have my vote turned into something that I didn't vote for.
Yeah. So on yesterday's show, after watching, and I have the video, but you guys can go back and watch yesterday's show. I captured, my dad recognized it, picked up on that they talked about blockchain voting being a solution at the hearing. And so I went back, recorded it. I have it on 1.5 times, so it's kind of fast when you guys are listening to it, but you can check it out on our video from yesterday. And then he mentioned an MIT project called VOATZ, VOATZ, and that it's already working in West Virginia, and that it's a wallet. Those of us in cryptocurrency understand how, or I believe this could be a solution. I have a friend who I respect so much, but he says blockchain is not, there's still someone who created whatever that code is. And so he says it can still be not trusted. So I'm kind of, I'm not 100%. I think there's a place for blockchain and voting. I just don't know exactly how we do that in the safest way to be the most honest vote.
Lisa, let's just say he's right, and you can get into the blockchain and you can monkey with it. Let's just call it that. Because being that I'm from the tech space, I've had many security experts say to me, there isn't anything I can't hack into. There's nothing. And I believe them. So here's the deal. Let's say you can, but at least I think it's still safer because it's one contained like freeway. In other words, you don't have
Right.
mail-in votes and these votes and absentee ballots and trucks pulling up in the middle of the night and putting them in shredding bins. I mean,
Right.
you're going to have like a blockchain, and you're going to have all the votes sitting like literally on the blockchain. And so I think if there was fraud, you could get to it faster, and you could identify the source of the fraud. The other thing too, you might be able to identify it back to the root, because remember, in
Right, to
blockchain, if
track
there's a
that.
wallet, they can, even though the name of the wallet is not identified on the blockchain to everybody, with enough technical expertise and legal, I don't know, whatever papers or whatever served,
Right,
they can find
right.
out who owns that wallet.
Or if
So,
nothing else, they could see that there was fraud. Maybe we don't ever know who the wallet was, but then you could invalidate that election and not have this issue that we're having now where they're like, well, maybe there's
right.
fraud. I mean, to me, it's blatantly obvious, but not everyone feels
Yes.
that way. So,
Yeah. So the other thing here now is you've got America. Everybody's all confused. They're all thinking they're going to die from COVID. They're being thrown out of their homes because of our bozo government for a pandemic that the math guys, the math, and believe me, I am taking nothing away from anybody who has lost people from COVID. I know people have died from COVID, but please understand people die. But actually, if you follow my work, you find out that there is no death. And that's
right.
coming from two women who have had their
Mhm.
hearts shattered beyond repair. And I can still say that. So here's the deal. The math on COVID doesn't warrant ruining. We now have 50 million people unemployed with no jobs in sight. Does that warrant this? No. No. And that's just in the United States, guys. We're not even looking at what's going on across the globe. This is a
Right.
global takeover on a fascist level. And that's what we need to be looking at. And do you want to fight for that? And all you have to do is clear your mind of the noise and say, you know what? I'm an American. I want truth and I want honesty. And like I said before, if Biden is the true winner, I will suck it up like I have in the past
Right.
and I will march forward, but I know he's not.
Absolutely. So let's talk about this last um, clip that you sent me. So where are we now? What legal challenges remain for Trump? And when they say for Trump, guys, this is not about winning for Trump. They stole our votes. This is about
Yes.
winning for Americans. This is that we don't they stole our votes and it wasn't Trump's vote.
Right. I mean, you guys, we're talking about truth in our voting system. That's how serious this
Mhm.
is. I mean, this is absolutely. Excuse me, I'm being rude. I'm looking through my
No, you're
20.
good. I also wanted to bring up the fact that it's recently come out that China purchased Dominion Voting on October 8th for $400 million or something like that. So
Yeah.
not only, and I was also told that they raided not only the servers in Frankfurt, but there's also Spain is involved,
Mhm.
and they have those servers as well. So this is way bigger than we knew. But there was also servers in Maricopa County.
Oh, yeah, there was. That's my county.
So it's not like this was just foreign interference. This is foreign and domestic. And
Yes.
I heard,
Yes.
was it, I don't know if it was Lynn Wood or General McEnany or General Flynn said that Trump will not leave office without fulfilling his oath. And if you read the oath that he took when he became president, it's to protect the Constitution from all enemies, foreign and domestic. So he is going to clean this up. He is a man of his word and clean house, and we're going to have this
Right. And
taken care of before
the
he leaves.
question that you have as an American, and I, Lisa, completely agree with you. This is not about a vote for Biden or a vote for Trump. This is your vote as an
Right,
American. This is
right,
the greatest civil privilege. Remember, when my grandmother was born, they weren't allowed to vote. She
right.
couldn't vote. Women couldn't own cars. They couldn't own property. When my grandmother got married, she was property of her husband. Husband owned
Yeah,
her. And she basically raised me. And she told me the stories. She said,
yeah,
Amy, no matter what, you have to vote. She goes, because I couldn't vote till I was, I don't know, whatever the 1921 or whatever, 23 or whatever they made the women eligible for voting.
right.
I think it was 21. I mean, hello. So
Can
here,
you imagine how people, if this will all be exposed to us, which I believe it will, and we all fight for the truth, and I believe we will, and the truth wins, and I believe it will, how proud again people are going to be of being an American and how much we will not take it for granted. I'm not going to ever sit out and not vote ever again. I'm never going to miss an election or an opportunity to write my congressman or to have my voice heard, because I understand that we're all part of this. People say I'm not part of politics. We're all part of it.
Oh yeah, you
We're
are.
all part of it. And you either choose to be silent or you take an active voice. Either way, you're still part of it.
Right, exactly, Lisa. 100%. There's no, oh, I'm not interested in politics anymore. That excuse is
Right.
now, because you either want to live or you want to die. And here's the situation. Um, the the question is do you want truth as an American? And if you do, you only have to do one thing. One thing. You have to question everything.
Mhm.
Every email that comes in, you don't just click on those links anymore, because you click on those links and your bank account could be vacated. I don't open anything in my email anymore. Half of it I don't even read anymore. Every phone call I get, literally people, because the media has so they violated our sense of what we last thought. Like my best friend says, Amy, I just want Walter Cronkite back. I mean, I just want to turn on the news and hear old-fashioned investigative journalism. There is none of that. This
No,
is
it's
all
all opinion. Yeah.
well, it's lies, Lisa. It's a crime scene.
Well, we're going to see that. I'm so excited tonight, 7 o'clock Eastern, 6 o'clock Central. Um, Make sure you guys tune in to Project Veritas, and they're going to start releasing those clips. And I think Americans are going to be blown away. This Project Mockingbird that they talked about in the 60s never went away.
Right. Right.
We
No,
have
in
been
fact,
lied to.
Lisa, it's just done nothing but grow. The project
Yeah.
has grown. I mean, the project has grown. Project Mockingbird, that's grown. Our last little bit, you guys, I know we've really done a lot today. I mean, this has been a big show. I got this thing from the BBC, because every once in a while I like to see what's going on in Europe. And Lisa, if you can scroll down to the very bottom of this, this is a great
Okay.
little thing. Um, And at the bottom, they did this little diagram.
Oh, okay.
I kind of dug the diagram. It says, who could be involved if the US election results are challenged? See that right there.
Is this it? Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So again, guys, just, we're all disoriented. What's happening? First of all, the local election officials will count ballots and deliver the results. Okay. So that's step one. Step two is the party legal teams could challenge in the result in the state courts. I believe we have quite a bit of that already going on right now.
Right.
I think we're in that phase. Then the third phase is the judges could uphold the challenge and order a recount. I think we're right there right now is what in some states, I think we're there. Ducey says no for Arizona. And then we go to the Supreme Court. And as I said in the earlier slide, it has to be approved, authorized, and 4 judges have to concur on
To
it being
even see it, to even see the case. Mhm.
right. Now, because Trump is such a legal expert and people say he doesn't know the law, well, I beg to differ with you. He's quite the legal beagle himself. The reason why he came out today and said, he's not sure if it'll go to the Supreme Court, because he understands the process. This is a man that knows the legal process inside and out. He also knows the tax code inside and out.
So I also heard a rumor that there is, and I have not been able to do research on this and find this out. So if somebody in the chat if you guys do find information on this and it's true, send me a DM or something on Twitter, or post it in the comments for this video. But there's some kind of scenario where, and maybe that's with the doing martial law, I'm not sure, but where the military comes in, seizes everything, and the military somehow makes the decision.
Well, maybe then, Lisa, it would go to Congress. I don't know. See, we are in uncharted waters. And that's the big message I want you guys. I don't know the legal ins and out. I'm not a lawyer. This is not legal advice, or none of that, as Lisa said. We're just like giving facts as we know them.
Mhm.
talking about to help soothe the American minds and look for truth, because this is New Truth Tuesdays. So the problem is you get so caught up in the psyop and the matrix, you start to think you're losing your mind. And unless you, so unless you have a kind of a sounding board, and it's not the media, they'll make you nuts. You know, it's nice that we're in this and we can kind of work together through this as Americans. That is my intent. My intent is not to sit here and, just have a vendetta for Biden. You know where I stand with Biden. He's a pedophile. That's all I have to say. So here's the deal. As Americans, we've got to work through this together. It's the only way we can do it. But if you don't think critically, it's not going to happen, guys. And then before we know it, we will be China.
Yeah, that's not going to happen. I think there's too many good Americans out there that we're going to stand up together. It's worth standing up for and worth the future for ourselves and our children and our grandchildren. And so
Yeah.
we're going to have a bright future. Thank you guys all for joining us today. I hope this had some great information for you. There's links in the description of how you can connect with me and Amy. So you guys check those out. You can also join the channel and be a member. And you can always also find where you can join Patreon. I've started being a little more active on there and put a few articles on there. Or if I was found something at night, I would write like a little post or something. So trying to be a little more active on you there for you guys too. So everybody have a great day, and we'll see you tomorrow on Woo Woo Wednesday.